At times, some individuals seem to wield influence effortlessly, while others multiply their efforts and remain unrecognized. This isn't about luck or natural charisma. It's about strategy, something Machiavelli understood better than anyone. In a world where kindness is mistaken for weakness, grasping the mechanics of power isn't arrogance, but survival. The most relentless opponent isn't external, but within the mind itself, where resistance to change quietly lingers. Welcome to Machiavelli. Here you'll uncover how real power operates, from the psychology of influence to the strategies that have shaped empires and swayed the masses. Everything no one teaches you about leadership, ambition, emotional control, and psychological warfare is found here. Prepare to see the world as it truly is, a game of intellect, not good intentions. By objectively examining our behavior, even the parts that hold us back, we can consciously steer our path. Take someone who excels in interviews, but, when promotion is near, starts arriving late, picking fights, and losing control. They blame stress or lack of recognition, but in truth, they fear greater responsibility and hide behind excuses. Only by recording each reaction without judgment can these inner blockages be exposed. One approach is to note, at the end of each day, the smallest decisions made, the emotions felt, and the fears that arose. That honesty will uncover hidden patterns that hinder progress, paving the way for meaningful change. Overcoming these patterns takes more inner vigilance than self-help. It's the first step toward genuine empowerment. Before others shape your reputation, own your story. It's not what you've lived through that matters, but the version the world hears. If you don't define your narrative, someone else will. Machiavelli noted that authority stems from perception, not certainty. Even if you're brave and honest, if you project insecurity or detachment, that's how others will see you. Two speakers can deliver the same message, but the one with conviction will hold the room. In the end, people won't remember your exact words, but the feeling you left behind. Your shadow isn't the flaw you hate. It's the repressed trait silently guiding your choices. Both Machiavelli and Jung understood that what we don't acknowledge ends up controlling us. If you don't accept it, someone else will weaponize it. Consider Pedro. He prided himself on being agreeable, said yes to everything, and smiled constantly, but resentment built up until it exploded. His anger wasn't wrong. It was just energy with no outlet. Look at what you criticize in others and ask if it lives in you. By acknowledging it, you stop scattering your energy and begin to channel it with purpose. Your mind is not a sanctuary, it's a field of inquiry. No one knows your impulses with surgical precision unless you study them yourself. If there's an inappropriate reaction, a tendency to procrastinate, or a wandering focus, record the moment on your phone. By reviewing that journal weekly, you'll uncover the hidden pattern blocking your progress. Once identified, cut it off at the root. Step away from distractions, remove yourself from toxic settings, or practice saying a genuine no until the change feels real. True growth isn't comfortable, it's sharp and decisive. Reputation works like an invisible sword. Before you speak, others have already formed an impression. What matters isn't your inner truth, but the narrative that circulates. Those who don't shape their own story hand over that power. Some accept the rumor, others shape their legend. Andres was efficient and discreet, but his lack of visibility cost him. He wasn't remembered or valued. One day, his supervisor told him honestly that without expressing expectations, it was impossible to meet them. What isn't felt becomes dispensable. This proves that the image you project can be as decisive as your inner world. Then pause for a moment and ask yourself if that impression matches the mark you want to leave. If not, redesign your identity. Choose a word that truly reflects your essence: decisive, respected, assertive, or strategic. And embody that frequency in every gesture, in the way you speak, enter a room, or say goodbye. It's not about pretending. It's about aligning your goals with how others perceive you. Credibility is born from absolute coherence between words and actions. If you claim leadership but avoid tough dilemmas, your speech collapses. If you demand respect but tolerate mockery, you teach others to belittle you. If you preach discipline but are consistently late, your authority dissolves before you speak. Real power doesn't demand perfection. It demands consistency, a character that holds up under pressure. To test this, review, without excuses, your non-negotiable principles against your daily routine. It's not a reckoning, it's a realignment. Those who betray themselves for convenience lose more than respect, they lose direction. Fear, when managed wisely, serves as a safeguard and defines your space. In a setting where kindness is equated with fragility, setting boundaries early keeps them from becoming jokes or sources of contempt. Reflect on what you will never allow in your personal or professional life, and stay firm at the first sign of overstepping. Leaving without prior warning requires no confrontation. It only demands resolution. The doubt over whether someone dares to challenge you encourages respect, and if they cross the line, they must sense that there will be consequences. In the realm of discretion, silence becomes a tactical resource. Revealing plans too early exposes them to interference. Judgments, uncertainties, and mockery can easily derail their direction. Every explanation or justification hands over control to others. Keeping ideas concealed shields them from sabotage and criticism, since the final outcome often nullifies any prior objection. Similarly, time management separates those who live under urgency from those who dictate the pace of their actions. Responding immediately suggests availability and relinquishes command of the schedule to others. Taking a brief pause before replying creates distance and authority, ensuring you're not governed by external demands. When your actions are driven by clear intention, your strategy gains structure. Adopt a rhythm that others cannot predict, not out of whim, but for strategic advantage. Whoever sets the pace controls the narrative. Prioritize collaborations over suffocating attachments. Power requires alliances, but it must not be shared carelessly. This was something Machiavelli foresaw. A partnership without a deliberate strategy soon becomes a trap. A joint endeavor may function well while goals remain aligned, but once money enters the picture, egos inflate and priorities begin to splinter. Those who give everything without safeguarding their interests often end up stripped of everything. Before committing, it is wise to ask what the actual gain would be, what could be lost if the relationship crumbles, and whether there's a way out that doesn't involve self-destruction. It's vital to remain aware of the balance of power. If you give more than you receive, or rely too much on their approval, you're already at a disadvantage. Always preserve a margin of independence, energies, assets, and contacts that remain unrevealed and unshared. Merging entirely into a partnership leads to invisibility, and when cast aside, you disappear without a trace. Alongside strength, unpredictability and necessity are essential. Focusing only on what's visible while ignoring what happens in the shadows allows others, acting unnoticed, to seize influence. Real power blends presence with enigma. True respect doesn't stem from excess, but from what's essential. Marcello stood out in his team, always arriving first and fixing every issue without complaint, which led to his work being overlooked. One day, he didn't show up, and no one noticed. Later, he pitched a brilliant idea, and they ignored him again. He decided to shift his approach. He became more selective, raised his standards, and made fewer appearances. Suddenly, he sparked curiosity, a bit of unease, and for the first time, they started to ask for him. Becoming essential requires intelligent time management. A calculated presence builds intrigue, and that tension, when channeled properly, reinforces authority. But image alone isn't enough. One must distinguish between affection and power, set clear boundaries, and make it known what happens when they're crossed. Those who don't defend their limits teach others to violate them. Ricardo, on the other hand, was so accommodating that he allowed constant delays and excuses. Eventually, he realized no one valued his time. His leniency had trained everyone to dismiss his schedule without consequence. He came to understand that setting boundaries isn't cruelty, but a way to protect one's own well-being. Self-control sharpens judgment, and firmness safeguards reputation. When someone causes harm, recognize the offense you allowed and reflect on the message your silence conveyed. Ask yourself what you would have chosen if fear hadn't interfered, and consider the price of letting it happen again. Respond with resolve. Take distance, reduce contact, or end the relationship, but make it clear that abuse will not be tolerated. Today, we display every emotion, every habit, every desire, without realizing how predictable and exposed this makes us. A philosopher once warned that what is overly visible loses its power, while what remains hidden commands respect. There was once a highly perceptive woman who shared every project, fear, and secret without reserve. Over time, she lost her charm, until she began to fall silent about parts of her life. She spoke less, listened more, and unintentionally started drawing attention for what she left unsaid. Next time someone probes into your private matters, smile and steer the conversation elsewhere with ease. This isn't coldness. It's about protecting the unshareable core within you. Sometimes, words fall short and only action tells the truth. A man was betrayed by a business partner who emptied his accounts and smeared his name. He tried to forgive, hoping to rebuild the bond, until he realized he was mistaking dignity for fear. So he cut ties completely, and, for the first time in months, peace returned. Pregunta a ChatGPT. If you accept this situation, what message are you truly sending? Genuine authority doesn't announce itself. It manifests instantly through a firm gesture, a decision that leaves no room for negotiation. You've uncovered your identity without embellishment or disguise, taken refuge without seeking justifications, and claimed the respect you deserve, even if it unsettles those around you. That already sets you apart. Yet the true challenge comes afterward. Awakening isn't enough. Opening your eyes doesn't compel you to walk a new path. The world doesn't reward those who become aware, but those who foresee, adapt, and transform each experience into strategy, each setback into a deliberate move. Awareness without direction leaves one exposed. Keen perception without action only deepens the pain. Internal strength without an external framework eventually collapses into the same old frustration. You know your worth even if no one else sees it. You feel prepared, yet nothing shifts, because drive without direction falls short, and clarity without influence leads nowhere. This journey doesn't end with scattered insights. Without solid guidance, it all unravels. What's been unveiled to you is what many will never glimpse, not due to lack of capacity, but because they don't even realize they're missing something. Now that you've awakened, there's no turning back. Relentless, genuine, and unshakable.